Hi everybody, today we have Rutie Mizrahi. She's the relative of Oded Lifshitz, ex-journalist but one of the captives in Gaza right now. Canam had visited the Nir Oz Kibbutz, the house of Oded Lifshitz, which was burnt down, and he was taken into Gaza as a captive. Rutie is from Vancouver and she is the relative of Oded. Rutie, can you tell us how are you related to Oded and how did you hear about when the first thing happened in October 7th?
So Oded is my uncle, and I heard about it in the news. I just woke up and I opened the internet as usual, and this is when it hit me. I saw a picture of a journalist talking in Arabic in Kibbutz Nir Oz, so I called my family and I heard the news.
What was your first reaction and who were the other family members who told you about this story?
My sister told me the story because I called her the first thing, and then I called my dad to check how he's doing, and nobody knew in the beginning what's going on. All they knew is they found out that their iPhones of both Oded and my aunt Yochke were in Gaza, but it took a little bit time, I guess, until they found out what's going on. And I was in shock. I think it took me a while to understand what happened. It's really hard to believe.
Tell us what were the initial days after October 7th look like?
I was in a state of a shock. I couldn't really believe it, and I guess it's easier to be in denial when you're so far away rather than being there. But I was, of course, very worried. We didn't know what happened to my aunt and uncle. The picture became more clear. I was devastated. And then my aunt Yochke was returned 17 days after. And ever since October 7th, life stopped in a way. You know, I'm here, I'm going to work in the morning, I have my kids, I have my life, but my life actually, I feel like it stopped. I don't have any reason to celebrate anything. I lost some of my happiness, and it's very hard, mostly the unknown of what's going on with my uncle now. I'm not sleeping at night, and the last few days since the horrible news about the execution of the 6 hostages, it's broke my spirit completely. Like, I'm a very positive person, always. I always try to see the good things in every situation. I don't know, it's like really, really hard.
Oded is he's a senior and he is in his 80s. Could you tell us more about Oded and his life?
Oded, he was a journalist in Israel. Oded is a peace activist. He was always rooted for peace and for communication. Very smart, very educated, very well known, and he is a very Zionist. He was fighting in a few of Israel wars. His kids, a few of them were in a very elite units. But he also see the other side. And he always, I know that in the 70s, when the Bedouin, I think it was in Rafah area, had some issues with the Israeli government, he fought for them too. He's a justice guy. He used to volunteer, I think it was like on a weekly basis when the border was quiet and safe, in an organization. So they used to go to the border and pick up some cancer patients, including kids, driving them to hospitals for treatment because they do get the treatment in Israel.
Rutie, you're a Canadian and a Vancouver resident. Can you tell our viewers about the Nir Oz and the kibbutz and how did you spend your life there?
I was born and raised. Their house is always open to people, and as a child I used to spend all my vacation, like all summer vacation, Hanukkah, Passover, in the kibbutz. For me, it was like heaven. I moved to Vancouver in '98, and I'm trying to get to Israel once a year to visit my family, my parents, everybody is there. And I have to say that these little small communities, the kibbutzim, at least most of them were always, on one hand, like they live very close to Gaza Strip, but they do care about the other side. Most of them were like peace activists. So yeah, it's very sad.
What do you have to say about the student encampments in Canada and the hostility towards the Jewish people in Vancouver? As a Canadian Jewish, how do you feel about things that are happening in Canada?
I think it's insane. I think the universities should do something to stop this, because it's really easy to say anti-Israel, but actually it's pure anti-Semitism. And I know many people now in the community that don't feel safe anymore. And I think it's horrible. This is Canada, it's 2024. We shouldn't be afraid. The other thing I must say is that I think most of these people who protest, other than the fact that some get paid for it, they know nothing. They have no knowledge of anything that really happened. So I suggest that they go and learn facts. I think it's mostly a bunch of anarchist people that just need to protest something. That's how I see it, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Okay, any last words?
I call on all the world to put a lot of pressure on both Hamas and the Israeli government now to stop everything and let our people come home and safe, hopefully. And one very important point that I just want to mention is that people say free Palestine or ceasefire. Fire until October 6th. And it was broken by the Hamas on October 7th. And people should remember that because it seems like it's easy for them not to.
Okay, well, thank you for talking to us.